Hey guys, Big Air 01 coming at you with another video on my son's 1995 PW80. In this video, we are going to work on the brakes. We're gonna install some new shoes on the front because they're sticking a bit. As you can see when I hold it there, they don't really spring back too well. So we're gonna take a look at them and put some new shoes on the front. And then we're also going to replace some parts here on the back and put a whole new hub on the rear. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Okay, so some of the tools we're going to need some wrenches to remove the axle nuts and all of the bolts that are holding the brakes on there. You're going to need some needle nose pliers to remove the cotter pins that hold the nuts in place on the axles, which I'll show you in a bit here. A nice rubber mallet for tapping out the axles. We're going to use a little bit of sandpaper for just cleaning up the inside of the drum. As you can see on my bike, the rear pin and the adjuster nut on the very back are kind of Mickey Moused on there right now, so we're going to change that out. I've got a whole rear brake assembly that came with the bike, so I'm just going to use that, replace that. I've got a whole new front brake shoes for the front. We've got our trusty manual. We've got some grease for the axles and also the cams for the brakes themselves, and then some brake cleaners to help clean everything up. So that's what we're going to use in this to do this job. Okay, so we're going to start at the rear tire. As you can see there's some cotter pins here. So we'll just take those out. And you're going to need a 19 mil to loosen this nut off. Then we're going to take off the slack adjusters. I'm going to remove the rear cable. We've got another cotter pin down here for the rear stabilizer. Next, we're just going to tap the axle through. Okay, so I'm just going to pull the axle nut out. Okay, so I'm just going to take some sandpaper and clean all this up and use some brake cleaner. And also brake clean this side as well. This just slides off, so don't be alarmed. And then I'll clean all that up and grease it up so it's ready to go back together. We've got our shaft here. Got to come out of here, but it would normally just slide out from the pin that I'm going to be replacing. Okay, so I've got it all clean in here now. I sandpapered in the inside here. There's no real grooves or anything. And so now what we'll do is we're going to put some grease on the axle nut, and then we're going to put these back in there like that, basically, and we'll mount it on the bike. Okay, so to put this back together, it's a little bit easier if you thread this rod through before you put it all back together. So you got your spring, don't forget that. We've got the brand new pin that's going to go in through here. Like that. And then I'm just going to put the adjuster nut on a few. Just hold it. Like so. You put your sprocket back inside the other side. And chain ready. And slide it in there like that. You've got your axle, which is now freshly greased. So I've already got my chain already on the sprocket. Make life a little easier that way. It look like something like that. So we've got the nut in. This is just loose for now. We'll put this back on here like so. Just doing it by hand for now. I'm gonna get all the bolts and the adjusters all in the right place, and then we'll adjust it properly. Okay, so I just have it hand tight for now. Obviously you want to make sure you properly adjust the chain. So these little notches here, there's a little notch right there on the top of the adjuster that will show you how many notches it needs to be out. So we'll just make sure that it's the same and on both sides. Okay, so I've got the guard off just so I can properly adjust this. So the manual says that this should be 15 to 20 millimeters. So that should mean that it should only move about that much. So I like to do it about 3 fingers. So we're just gonna tighten it up a tiny bit more. So you're gonna make sure that it's loose. So right now on the thing, it's basically a 3.5. So we're gonna loosen it off to, or tighten it up to probably about the 3 mark. I'm gonna make sure it's the same on the other side. So that's about 1.5 centimeters to 2 centimeters. That should be properly adjusted. Now we can tighten up all the bolts, which we'll do, and then we'll move on to the front. Okay, so I put it all, I've tightened everything up now. I've got the brake adjusted so that it's just like the free play is only about a centimeter before it comes on. So it's gonna look something like this. Pretty basic, you only need it. Obviously you would adjust it the more it becomes the travel on the brake pedal. If it travels more, then you need to adjust it back here. So you don't want it dragging because you'll wear out your brakes, but just maybe 1 centimeter should be enough just so it grips it, as you can see there. And that rear brake setup is all done. So now we'll work on the front. So as you can see, this is stuck on a bit here. It doesn't free turn. I've pulled on the lever. It's because it's sticking. So it probably means the cam needs to be greased up, or there's a spring missing inside there. I don't know. But we're going to remove the cable first. We're just going to loosen off that nut. It'll be the same as the front or the back, so we'll leave the hub attached to the cable and we'll adjust it. So now we have a cotter pin and a nut to remove on this side, and that axle will slide out. 17 mil. So you're actually going to want to wind that nut down. It's got the brakes on right now. Okay, so I've got the adjuster all the way to the bottom. Now I should be able to somewhat get it off, at least get the tire out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lever off here. Okay, so now that I've got it loose on this end here, it's not coming off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew this whole arm. You need the cable to be able to come out, and then you should be able to just swing this like that, and now I can take it to the bench and service it. Okay, so in reality there should have been a bolt that goes through here that the bike normally comes with, but as you can see, it doesn't have one there. This should have just popped straight off, which it wouldn't do while it was on the bike, and I don't know if it was just because the cable was preventing it to come all the way up, but it just comes off just like that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to clean all of this up. These brakes don't look that bad, but I mean, there's something going on. So I suspect that the cam in here needs to be just greased. So we're going to take the brakes out of this thing. To take them out, you're just going to lift up like that, and it should come off. So I may be able to use these as spares for now, but I'm not going to use them. I got the new brakes anyhow. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean all of this up, and we're going to take this cam out, which you should be able to just tap it out. And it's quite dry in there, so that's probably why it was sticking. So we'll just clean it up with a wire brush. We'll clean all of the brake dust out of this thing, and we'll put the new one on. One thing you should do though is wear gloves whenever you're working with brake cleaner, because it's obviously a poison, and also these brakes may have asbestos, so it's a good idea also to have gloves while you're working on the brakes. Okay, so I've got it all cleaned up now, and so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna slide this back into this, but first we gotta grease up this, because that could be the reason why it was sticking. It's just a little bit of grease, not a lot. Then you're just gonna stick it back through. Just move it around in there, make sure it's all nice and loose. Then we're gonna take our brakes and put them together. So it's gonna look something like this. So as you can see, that's sort of, you put the springs in. Be careful not to get too much grease and oil on your brakes, otherwise it defeats the whole purpose of brakes. Okay, so it's gonna look something like that. Like that. Bend them like this. Take some brake clean and I'll clean up any kind of grease that I got on there. And then we're gonna need our arm that goes over top. So it's hard to show you, but there is a little bit of a groove that I tried to put on the outside, as you can see. That's and so you're just gonna slide it over top for now. It's probably gonna look more like this, but we'll have to adjust it when we're put it on the bike. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna clean the brake drum itself. So we're just gonna spray some brake cleaner in there and clean all the grime and dirt out of it, and sand it down a little bit to make sure there's no grooves, and that'll be that, and we'll put it back all together. Okay, as you can see, I've got it all nice and clean in there now. Again, no grooves in there, and so now we'll go and put it on the bike. But first I want to just show you the rear brake, because I took it off and didn't really show you, but it would be the same thing. You would peel them up, take out this shaft here, and that would be how you would clean it. But because I had a new piece, that's why I went with the new piece. These brakes don't look that bad, and all it would take is a little bit of cleaning, and same with these ones. Just a sandpaper and a little bit of cleaning and they'd probably be fine. So I mean, if you wanted to, the manual says you should service these and clean them often, so maybe we could have just done that, but I wanted to have new brakes. I wasn't sure of the shape of the brakes when I bought the bike, so that's why we went with brand new brakes. Okay, so to make life easier during the install, we're gonna take the we're just gonna unhook it at the top here, so we have as much free play as we can. So it's just a matter of unscrewing that and then disconnecting it from the lever. Okay, so before I put it back together, I want to make sure that this arm is in the right position. So I'm just going to put it inside the hub and apply the brake to make sure that it's not going to hit the... So it's got some clearance. That should be good for now. We'll see how hard it is to adjust actually on the bike. I'm not going to put the bolt into this yet until the very end to make sure that it can be adjusted, because if you have this in the wrong position, hooking it up will make your life misery. So I'm gonna hook it up to the cable first. Same thing as before, the way you took it off is in sort of like that, and then around, and then you can push the arm up and then just screw in the top piece, just like that. It will make your life easier if you thread it all the way to the bottom. I got about halfway for now, and so I'm just gonna stick the hub in. Make sure your spacer's in on the other side. Get your axle that's well greased and put it back in. Put your nut back on the other side. I like to bounce the suspension down to make sure that it's all the way down to the ground before I tighten up the axle. And I'll tighten it up. You're gonna put your cotter pin on the other side, and then now we're gonna hook up the top. Okay, so to get it hooked into the top, I had to thread this all the way down, and then as you can see now, I've got it all the way in. So now we'll do the adjustments to make sure that it's working properly. Okay, so the last little adjustments I wanted to show you. Obviously, you're gonna want to push this up like this to use the brake, and you can see that it's on now. So to adjust this, to let it out, you're going to turn it in, but when you want to bring that lever, watch this lever real quick here. You can watch the lever coming up as you're doing the adjustment. So they say that the major adjustment should be done down here, and then the lever at the top should be adjusted, the little adjustments. So we're just gonna, I think that's pretty good there. I've got good brake leverage. It's not too hard on to pull. And so we're just gonna roll the rubber back up top there like this. We're gonna tighten this down so that it doesn't come loose. I have it sort of adjusted like that, right there on the top. So like I said, you make the small adjustments here, and you can see, you pull the brake and it came back and it still spins. That's one of the reasons why we did this. So I'm quite happy with that. Okay, so that's about gonna do it for this video, guys. Life will be easier if you put this arm in the right position. If you don't put it in the right position, it'll make attaching everything difficult and certainly a lot harder to do. So make sure you put that arm in the right spot, and then you can adjust it properly. So, but yeah, I'll leave a link in the description down below to the parts that I used in this project, or this video. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment down below. And definitely drop a like if you liked this video, if you thought it was very helpful for you. I mean, I really appreciate a lot of my support that I'm getting on my channel in regards to this. Like I said, you know, I'm just a backyard mechanic doing this work, learning how to do it and sharing how I did it with you. So definitely leave a like, share, subscribe, and thanks for watching.